this is something that we do annually as a council. It is written into the Ryan White legislation that we assess the efficiency of the administrative mechanism. So what does that mean? We're reviewing how quickly and how well does the Part A recipient carry out the processes needed to contract with and pay providers for delivering HIV-related services, so that the needs of people with HIV and AIDS throughout the Part A service area are met. The emphasis is on ensuring services to people with HIV and to communities with the greatest need for Ryan White services. So this definition was included in this quick reference handout that was attached to the email that everybody received a week ago. So if you want additional information about the assessment of the administrative mechanism, there's several resources available. And the Needs Assessment and Evaluation Committee is the committee responsible for designing the assessment and administering it every year. So the Ryan White legislation lays out what are the roles and responsibilities of our Planning Council to Part A. So this is a table that's from the Part A Planning Council primer. You can see the various duties that we have done this year and will continue to do in our year of planning. So highlighted is the assessment of the efficiency of the administrative mechanism, which we are working on now. So when we get the document, everybody's going to get a survey to fill out, and I'll go greater into detail about what it's going to ask of you. But when you do fill it out, we're only looking at the Minneapolis-St. Paul TGA because this is a Part A requirement. Part A serves the Minneapolis-St. Paul TGA and not the entire state of Minnesota. So the providers that responded to our survey are TGA contracted providers or subrecipients. So it's very important that you're not thinking about the system of care throughout Minnesota, but only in the TGA, which are the 11 counties in Minnesota that are shown, as well as 2 counties in Wisconsin, highlighted by this thick black line and grayed out area here. So another way to think of it is we're evaluating how rapidly are the funds that we allocate that are Ryan White funds, how are they made out to the community so people are able to access those services as quickly as possible. We also want to make sure that when Part A contracts for services, that they do it through an open process and that they're securing enough subrecipients or providers to provide services so they reach the people that they're intended to serve, and that the providers are being paid in a timely manner. So we gather all of that information and data, and then you as a council member look at all of that information and determine whether or not that was met. So as council members, we are not involved with procurement and contracting. We deal with service areas and funding, but we don't deal at the individual service provider level. So this is the only time that we're actually looking at any sort of procurement and contracting. We do it in an aggregate form, so we're not looking at individual service providers, we're looking at the entire system. So the Planning Council primer, it's linked to the council website. It has a lot of rich information about what are our roles to Part A as a Planning Council. They do provide some guidance. So the Needs Assessment and Evaluation looked closely at this guidance to determine what we're going to ask in our own evaluation. So like I've mentioned, it's that funds are being contracted quickly and through an open process, providers are paid quickly, that the funds that we allocate to service areas are what the Part A recipient does, so that we match exactly what the council prioritizes and allocates resources to. So when you receive the link to the survey, it is an online survey. That was a change that we made a few years ago with the Needs Assessment and Evaluation Committee. You're going to look at 6 objectives. So you'll see this when you get your survey, but you're going to have the 6 objectives, and then it'll show a measurement. So how can you determine whether or not that objective was met? So just additional information that, if the Part A recipient did this, then the objective was met. And then there's 2 data sources for you to determine whether or not that was met. So one is the Needs Assessment and Evaluation Committee asks subrecipients who are contracted with Part A funds to create or to complete their own survey. So they received the questions in advance, and we received responses. So that information is provided to you as one data source. And then the Part A recipient is also able to respond about how they feel that the objective was met. So there's going to be information there from the Part A recipient to tell you that they contracted with X amount of service providers, and this was the funding amount, and this is how quickly the contract was signed and how quickly the invoices were paid. So all of that information is available to you. So then it's going to be up to you as a council member to decide whether or not you would agree or disagree that the objective was met based on this information. So if you choose that it was not met, that it was disagreed, then you are required to say why you disagree that it was met and also provide some information about improvement. So what would you suggest that the Part A recipient does to ensure that next year the objective is met? So how are we going to do this? We're going to send you a link after today's council meeting. It's going to come from Richard. It will include a little bit, some of this information that we've gone through today, as well as the link. You're going to look through each objective and measurement and decide whether or not you would agree that it was met or not met. And then also including comments. So we do understand that this is kind of a dense document. Feedback that we hear is that people, especially if they just joined the council in the last few months, don't necessarily know if, it's a met or not. So we really do encourage you to reach out to council staff if you have questions, the co-chairs of the Needs Assessment and Evaluation Committee or other members. And then also everybody has a contact sheet that lists council mentors. So please reach out to anybody who may be more familiar with completing this if you have questions.
Hi, it's Cree. I was going to say folks can reach out to me since I've done it a couple times. So
thank you, Cree. We're also looking at time-framed observations. So we are specifically evaluating fiscal year 2020. So this was the previous fiscal year. So it started on March 1st, 2020, and it ended just a few months ago on February 28th, 2021. So all of the information is related to that fiscal year. We're not looking at individual providers, so no names are associated with the data. It's just an aggregate form. And then also from the guidance is that doing this as council members is not meant to be an evaluation of an individual subrecipient or service provider or of the Part A recipient. We're really just looking at the system of care in general for the Part A TGA. And then again, we do want your specific recommendations for improvement if you find that you disagree with any of the objectives, indicating that the existing system is not working effectively. One thing that was important to the Needs Assessment and Evaluation Committee is that this is anonymous, so we do want your honest feedback. Your responses are going to be collected through a third party, which is Internal Services. We've been working with them for a couple of years to administer the survey. So they take all of their responses and then give us all of the information back. So we're not looking at individual responses. Council staff won't be looking at any individual names to link you to your responses, and the Part A recipient and subrecipients will not have that information either. We do need your name on it because this is a standard of membership on the council, so we need to make sure that you are completing this. And once you get the survey link after today's meeting, you'll have 3 weeks to complete it. So take a look at it, see if you need additional information, reach out to any of the people that we mentioned. Cree just said that they're available as well. So you can complete it honestly. Again, there's 6 objectives. So we do ask that you fill out all of them. Once we do have the report back from Internal Services, then council staff will put all of the final results into a document, which we provide to Part A, which is Hennepin County Ryan White Program, and they'll carefully look through all of the responses, especially the comments that are provided if there's anything that council members suggest for improvement. And then we will take all of that information and present it to the Needs Assessment and Evaluation Committee, as well as the council. It's also available on the council website for you to see when this process is complete for fiscal year 2020, but also for several years in the past, so you can look at what people have done in the past. And then all of this information is included in the Part A grant application as well. So that is all that we have for the assessment of the administrative mechanism. We will be sending out this information as well as the link to complete it after today's meeting. And I hope that this made kind of a cumbersome and a little bit difficult process a little bit more clear. It's something that we've worked on as a council to try to make it a bit more digestible, but sometimes it's just sort of difficult to do that. So if you do have feedback about this process, including today's presentation, please let me know, or please let members of the Needs Assessment and Evaluation Committee know as well.
Okay.